Hi, Core Chemistry. Mrs. KJ here, going over Lesson 5.01, the conservation of mass, and the unit introduction to chemical reactions. You, or someone you know, have probably added vinegar to baking soda to make a tabletop volcano or make a toy car go. When the two are mixed, a chemical reaction occurs. Chemical reactions happen every day in our lives, and many, if not most, of the products you use are the result of some kind of chemical reaction. In this unit, you will have the opportunity to define, write, and name chemical reactions and study many of the different types of chemical reactions. As an overview, a chemical reaction consumes reactants that have mass. Chemical reactions consume reactants which become products. Chemical reactions to form products have mass. So, big idea, we have mass before and after a chemical reaction, and we have the same amount of mass before and after, which is the law of conservation of mass, which is this section's title, the conservation of mass. In chemical reactions, reactants form new products. There are many different kinds of chemical reactions. Chemical reactions can be described by chemical equations. As you will learn, chemical equations are a way to express what is happening as reactants change into products. The fundamental principle underlying all chemical reactions is the law of conservation of mass, which states that in any chemical reaction, mass or matter is neither created nor destroyed. So you definitely want to have in your notes, law of conservation of mass. It's sometimes also called law of conservation of matter. So in any chemical reaction, mass is neither created nor destroyed. In other words, the mass of the reactants equals the mass of the products. So huge ideas there. Make sure that you're pausing when you need to and writing down your notes. All right, so we're going to explain the law of conservation of mass, identify reactants and products in chemical reactions, define the terms reactants and products in chemical reactions, identify reactants and products in a chemical equation, describe the importance of the law of conservation of mass as it relates to chemical reactions. And then they do have the student guide, which you'll have to go into the lesson and click on if you would like to use that to help yourself write down some notes. Baking bread involves rearranging bonds in sugar, flour, yeast, and oil to make something new. Chemical reactions are part of our everyday lives. Chemical reactions are happening all the time. Elements are constantly forming compounds, and the atoms of compounds are constantly being rearranged to form new combinations of atoms. Wood burns and forms ash, which is an example of a chemical reaction. Remember, a chemical reaction is any reaction where you create a new substance. Mix sugar, flour, yeast, and oil together and bake it, and you'll make a loaf of bread. Many chemical reactions will occur in that process. A metal bicycle chain left out in the rain and snow will rust. That, too, is a chemical reaction. As you can see in each example, one or more substances were changed into something very different from the starting substance. And we say it creates something new, but it creates it out of what already existed, which brings us back to the law of conservation of mass. The matter and mass that you started with has to be the same as the matter and mass that you end with, but the molecules are rearranging themselves in a chemical reaction, which is how you get a new substance. Chemical equations are used to describe chemical reactions. There are two parts to a chemical reaction. There are the substances you begin with and the substances that you end with. Think about the wood burning in a campfire. The wood burns with the help of oxygen. Wood and oxygen are the reactants of the chemical reaction. So hit pause, write down what a reactant is. It's the original substance that undergoes a chemical change. In other words, it's what you start with in a chemical reaction. When they react, they form a new substance, ash. The ash in this chemical reaction is one of the products. It says one because there's also gases given off and water vapor. Product, again, write this in your notes. The result, the new substance from a chemical reaction. The product has different chemical and physical properties from the reactants. And again in the picture, wood and oxygen react to form ash. A chemist would be more specific than just saying wood or ash. A chemist would list the chemicals and organize them in a chemical equation. Chemical equations are a shorthand way of showing the reactants and the products of the chemical reaction. Reactants form products. Think again about the rusty bike chain. If you were to write a chemical reaction explaining what happens when a bike chain rusts, you would start with the reactants. The actual process of rusting is somewhat more complicated than is shown here, but the lesson remains the same. A chemical reaction involves reactants forming products, a process that can be written as a chemical reaction. So we're going to look at our chemical reaction for rust. Now, we have the bike chain, and in a chemical reaction, we're not going to write bike chain. We're going to write what it's really made out of, which is iron. So we have iron reacting with oxygen. So these two reactants react together to form or yield a new product. This process is represented by an arrow. Okay, so this is very, very important. We do not write equals. We don't write iron plus oxygen equals. We write an arrow, and we pronounce it yield. Yield as in produce. Like if you are a farmer, you would say that my field yielded 500 bushels of corn. So yield as in how much it produces. And that's important because in online school, I think sometimes you skip over a few things like this, like how to pronounce it. And then if you go to college, I don't want you to read it like arrow because everyone's going to look at you really funny. So the arrow is yield. And the reason it's an arrow is because we can reverse some reactions. So sometimes the arrow is going to point the other direction. Sometimes we'll have arrows pointing in both directions. So that's why it's an arrow. And the new product formed when iron and oxygen react is rust, but again, we're not going to write rust. We're going to write what it chemically is, which is iron oxide. So iron plus oxygen yields iron oxide. Chemical equations are typically written using chemical symbols. So for example, we just did iron plus oxygen. We would write it as Fe plus O2 yields, and then our product. So in this example, we're doing sodium plus chlorine. Again, we'd write Na plus Cl yields sodium chloride. However, this one is not perfectly written. It should be Cl2 because chlorine is a diatomic, 2 atoms, gas. So chlorine will never be by itself because it wants electrons so crazy bad, it will instantly bond with another chlorine. So it should be Na plus Cl2. All right, chemical equations are typically written using chemical symbols. The salt that you use to flavor your food is the result of a chemical reaction. Two different substances, chlorine and sodium, react to form a new product, table salt. Chlorine is a poisonous green gas. Sodium is a soft silver metal. When these two elements react, they form sodium chloride, or common table salt, NaCl. And again, the N and the C need to be capitalized, the A and the L lowercase. The chemical equation for this reaction would look like the one shown off to the right. Now that you know the different parts of a chemical reaction and how to write a word sentence describing a reaction, you have to rewrite the chemical equations using chemical symbols. So basically saying sometimes we use words, usually we just use the abbreviations. All reactions, including rusting, can be expressed through chemical equations. What is the chemical equation for a rusting chain? When a bike chain or other objects that contain iron react with oxygen in the air, in the presence of water, they create rust. Rust is a compound of iron and oxygen called iron oxide. Iron plus oxygen yields iron oxide. So again, iron is Fe. Oxygen, again, is going to be diatomic just like chlorine. So it's going to be O2. And then when they come together, we have to have how many atoms of iron? 2 atoms of iron. For every how many atoms of oxygen? 3. So that tells us what was the charge of our iron here. So the charge of our iron was +3. Our oxygen, of course, was -2. Rust is the product of a reaction between the iron and the oxygen. What are the reactants and what are the products in this chemical reaction? So the reactants are what? What you start with. The products is what you end with. Chemical reactions lab. Now watch a video to see a chemical reactions that result when a variety of chemicals are combined. So you can see my screen just jumped. What you're going to need to do, it's just not going to work for me to try and play the video through this video. So you can go into the Explore part, and it is on slide number 8, and then you can just watch the video through there. And it goes through a bunch of different chemical reactions. All right, so again, you can watch that video after, and we'll just finish up the slides in this video. Chemical reactions obey the law of conservation of mass. It is important to understand that chemical reactions obey the law of conservation of mass. So if you haven't written this down yet, hit pause and make sure you do. The law of conservation of mass. In a chemical reaction, the law that states that the mass of the reactants is always equal to the mass of the products. The law of conservation of mass states that in a chemical reaction, mass cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed. It states that the mass of the reactants in a chemical equation is always equal to the mass of the products. This was a significant statement first presented in the scientific community by Antoine Lavoisier in the mid-1700s. Lavoisier's groundbreaking work did much for understanding of chemistry. The law of conservation of mass is also referred to as the law of conservation of matter. All right, we also had in the early 1800s, John Dalton develops the law of multiple proportions. The law of multiple proportions has to do with the fact that I have 4 hydrogen atoms when I start, 4 hydrogen atoms when I'm done, 2 oxygen atoms when I start, 2 oxygen atoms when I end. So you'll notice that I have 2 copies or 2 molecules of H2, 2 hydrogen atoms bonded together. Here I just have O2, so 1 molecule, 1 copy of 2 oxygen atoms bonded together. So I have 2 different gases. They chemically combine to make water. However, when they come together, they're going to make 2 molecules of water because I have to have 2 oxygens and I have to have a total of 4 hydrogens. Now, when we're talking about the law of conservation of mass, if I were to add the mass numbers of 4 hydrogens and 2 oxygens, it would be the same as when I add the masses of 4 hydrogens and 2 oxygens because it's the same before and after, just chemically rearranged differently. Lavoisier set out to prove that mass is conserved during chemical reactions. Think about the burning campfire. You probably know that a pile of firewood will be reduced to a much smaller pile of ashes after it is burnt. Are the masses of the reactants and products really the same in this reaction? Lavoisier had the same question. He carefully measured the mass of the material before and after it burned. He collected all the gases that were produced too. That's what people forget about, the gases. By collecting the gases and other byproducts from the reaction and then measuring the total mass of all the products, Lavoisier showed that mass is conserved in chemical reactions. The mass of the reactants equal the mass of the products in every single chemical reaction. All right, so they have an example here. We'll use a magnifying glass to burn wood shavings in a closed system and in an open system to observe what happens to the mass. Notice that the shavings in each container weigh the same. All right, so there's 80 grams, and they are burning it. And obviously it looks like it weighs less because we let the gases escape. But if you keep the gases all in there, you'll see that the mass does not change. So to recap, mass is conserved in chemical reactions. The reactions involve reactants and products. Chemical reactions can be expressed as equations illustrating the combination of one or more reactants, what you start with, to form one or more new substances called the products. In a chemical reaction, the mass of the products is equal to the mass of the reactants. This may not always be obvious in a chemical reaction. Sometimes mass is lost to the surroundings. So I don't like that they use the word lost. It's still there. It just spread out into the surroundings as gases. Careful observations and experimentation can prove that mass is conserved, or in other words, stays the same. This concept is called the law of conservation of mass. So chemical reactions consume reactants, which become products. Chemical reactions consume reactants, which have mass. And chemical reactions form products, which also have the same amount of mass. Remember to go into the Explore and go ahead and watch the video on slide 8. Then when you're ready, you can go ahead and take the quiz.